Hi there, I'm Jasmine Rempel and welcome to Painting with Jasmine Rempel Art. Today I'm going to create a watercolor card, and I'm going to make bull kelp. I used to live on Vancouver Island and I loved walking on the beaches and seeing the beauty of the bull kelp. To do that, I have a Strathmore watercolor card. This is 140 pounds. And I've got a whole bunch of brushes. These are the Silver Black Velvet series, and I have from 0 to 12. And I'll just grab what I need as I go. I'm going to pencil and an eraser, some water. I also have some water. It's been a while since I've done a tutorial, sorry. Paper towel and some paint. So I have Windsor Newton watercolor paints all ready to go here. That's what I'll be using. These are professional level. Don't feel you have to use professional level. Use whatever level of paints you have. So let's get started. The first thing I did was to sketch just a little circle here for my first bull kelp. And then really just a curving line coming down. And another circle. And with a line coming down. I'm imagining that this is underwater and these bull kelp are attached somewhere way down there to the sand. And now I'll start with two. I may add one more. It's been a while since I've done these bull kelp, so I'm just thinking as I'm going. I'm going to start with inside of these, and I'm going to use some nice rich warm colors. I'm reaching right now into my burnt sienna. I'll make a little pool of burnt sienna right here to have available to me. And I'm also reaching over for my yellow ochre. I'll use some of that. I'll end up using a fair bit more than what I'm placing here. I just want you to see the colors I'm using. I'll also be using some Sap Green for the leaves of the bull kelp. Good, I'll get a start with these. I feel like when I've done them in the past, I've also used a little bit of blue, but I'm going to start with this and see where it goes. Okay, so I'm reaching right now for my number 4 brush, getting it wet, and I'm going to just go straight into this burnt sienna and begin to fill in this little area here. And I'll just bring that down along to the bottom. I think in the next one I'm going to start with this yellow. And to let it run again down to the bottom. And I'm actually going to reach into some Prussian Blue. And I'm going to just tap a bit in the side here. Give it a little shadow. Lifting a bit of this color. I'm going to add some burnt sienna to it. I went outside my edges, so I'm widening up this part of the bull kelp. Doing 2 little lines on the top. This is ultimately what 3 lines here. This is what the leaves will be attached to. Okay, I'm going into my Prussian Blue. And I'll tap some into the side here as well There was a lot on my brush, so I'm just gonna blend that in a bit. It's definitely turned out wider than I planned, but that's what painting's about, especially watercolor painting, going with the flow. It's hard to control it. I've just got more burnt sienna tapping in there. That'll give a darker edge, or a darker side, creating a little bit of form. Good. I'm just using some tissue, taking off the water from the brush, and I'm just going to lift a little edge there to create a highlight. And this is already dry on this end, so I'm just rubbing and lifting now. Good. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do. Actually, it's not, sorry, lied. Heading down into my Prussian Blue again, and I think I'll run a little bit down the edge here. Just giving a little bit of shadow, broken up in some areas. Good. Super. I'm ready for the most fun part, and that is the leaves of the bull kelp. All right, so for this, I'm using my number 10 brush, and I'm going to start with burnt sienna. And my brush is nice and wet. And now it's full of this lovely burnt sienna color. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the tip to pull up, and then I'm going to push down as I pull the to make a wide area for this leaf. So here I go. Just here's the tip of the brush, and now pushing down and just kind of turning my brush around. There we go. There's one beautiful leaf flying in the ocean breeze, tapping in a bit more burnt sienna here and there. And I'm going to go into this nice green and tap a little bit of the green in, some random spots. What I'm doing is just working to create a little bit of texture. That looks good. And now I'm going into my salt. This is kosher salt. I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of salt along and let that create some more texture as well. Super. Okay, I'm ready for the next one. And for this, I'm going to reach into that yellow ochre and mix it with the burnt sienna. So I get a bit of a change of color. And same thing as I did before, I'm actually going to turn this to do this. I'm just going to use the tip and then flatten it out by pushing a little more strongly. And there's we go. There we go. Going into the pure burnt sienna, tapping in a bit of that here and there. It dries so quickly. I'm working very quickly. I want little blooms here. I want the color to bleed out a little bit. Super. And then I'm reaching for my little brush. This is a number 2, and I'm putting water on it, and I'm just going to tap in some water, and it will create some little white areas. Good. Love that. Okay, going back into burnt sienna. Nice watery brush, and I'm going to create another one here, going right over top of this one. There we go. Going with my number 2 brush, just going to tap in a bit of the green. Adding some speckles. And I think I'll put a bit of salt down. I'm wanting to take another brush stroke across here, but this is going to need to dry first. So I'm going to just step away from this for a few minutes and let it dry, and then I'll come back to it. All right, so this is dry now, and I'm going to just use my rubber cement square to remove that salt. Great, now I have these lovely textures that I really enjoy, and now it's time to add a couple more leaves. Okay, so continuing with the theme, let's go into that yellow ochre again, and I'm going to add a little bit of the green to it. Good. And just tapping, pressing, or being very light with the tip of my brush at this point, and then spreading it out, and twisting and turning. Pull in a bit of that here. That's one long one, and just tapping in about that color again. As it dries, it'll create nice little textury patterns. Great, and going into the green itself, tapping in some here and there. Again, it's drying fairly quickly, so I only have so long to work. And I'm going to reach into my burnt sienna and add some taps of this nice color. Super. Now, as I did on this big long bull kelp leaf, I'm going to do the same up here, where I'm just wetting my number 2 brush. I'm just going to tap some of that water on there. It'll create little watermarks like this, little blooms. Okay, that one can dry. I've got 4 and 2, so I want another leaf to break that up. So I think, let's see. Do one going up this way or one from here. I'm just thinking about where I want that next leaf to be. I think I'll have it going up and off the page here. Okay. Let's use lots of yellow ochre for that. There is some of this green in here, and that's okay. It's mostly yellow at this point. And I'm just going to turn this, touching and pulling up. Great. Nice. I love it. I love it. I'm going to actually get a bit of that Prussian Blue that I used before and add a bit of that. Oh, can't see it. There we go. It's a bit diluted, which is good. I'm just tapping some of that in this time. Ooh, bright, beautiful. Adding some interest. Wow. Gorgeous. And there's a bit of that here and here and here, so it works. Speaking of having it here, I think I'm going to re-wet this area. And then I'm going to take some of that Prussian blue in the corner and let it bleed in. A little bit more of it. Great. Trying to be careful not to touch it too much. The less fussy, the better. Watercolor takes a very gentle touch, I find. It doesn't take much to have beautiful effects. And it's really easy to overwork it, lose its freshness and spontaneity. I'm just adding a little bit of shadow into some of these bottom pieces of the leaves. I don't know if they're called leaves. I don't know all the technical terms for bull kelp, or really any of the technical terms for bull kelp. All I know is, as an artist, when I walk along the ocean and I see it, I love it. Adding some of that burnt sienna in little dots. Okay, beautiful. I could add one more here to make it a 3, but I'm not going to. What I'm going to do is add a little fish swimming. So I've got my number 4 for that. And fish color. Let's use some of this blue and mix it with some of the burnt sienna to create a brown, a gray brown. Okay. Just a fish shape. Rockfish, I'm imagining. Kind of a jaggedy tail. Little fin. Another little fin. Keeping it rather rough. Now I'll go into this blue. Give it a few little dots here and there. Speckle it. A little bit of the burnt sienna. Tips of the tail with that. Tips of the fin with that. Good. That looks like a fish. And you know what? This is a watercolor card, so I'm keeping it very simple. I'm not going to do too much more than this. I'm going to sign it. I like to sign with a liner brush, so I'm going to go into this blue, mix it with the burnt sienna, same color as the fish. I'll sign it right here, JR for Jasmine Rempel. And I feel like I want to do a little bit of splattering. Let's do some blue since it's underwater. Give it a bubble effect. I like that. And once this fish is dry, it's almost dry, I'm going to get some more of that blue mixed in with this burnt sienna, a nice saturated brush with it, and I'm wanting to give it an eye. There's an eye, and maybe a few little lines. There we go. Let's pull back the tape and see what we've got. Definitely has that flowing feel. The direction of the bull kelp. Okay. I love it. A little underwater, a little oceanish scene. And it's a card for someone who maybe really enjoys visits to the ocean. I hope you've enjoyed painting with me. If you do, please subscribe to my channel and leave me a comment. Like the video. I'd love to hear from you. Happy creating. Bye for now.